Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome to the NoDQ.com live recap of WWE NXT WarGames 2021. This is a show that had a lot of carnage, as you would expect from a WarGames themed pay-per-view. The final WWE pay-per-view event of 2021 didn't live up to the reputation of the TakeOver NXT events. Well, let's break it down. Shout out to everybody in the chat room for watching live. I appreciate your viewership and your support. Our first match was the women's War Games match. We had Raquel González, Io Shirai, Cora, Jade, and Kay Ray up against Dakota Kai, Toxic Attraction, which consists of Mandy Rose, Gigi, Dolin, and Jacy, Jayne. The one thing I did not like about this match, the fact that you had the baby faces with the team advantage. It kind of hurt the psychology for the entire match, in my opinion. You had Kay Ray and Dakota Kai starting off. And then Cora Jade came into the ring, so it was 2-on-1 with Dakota Kai, who is this dastardly heel, being double teamed. Cora Jade used the skateboard on Dakota Kai, and each time a new participant came into the ring, they brought in some plunder. Like pretty much every single person would grab a weapon and bring it into the ring. It got a little silly after a while, in my opinion. And the match, in a way, felt very choreographed because of everyone doing the same things every time they came into the match. But all in all, it was still a really solid match from the ladies. Io Shirai came in, brought in some chairs, brought in a trash can. And if you guys remember from last year's War Games pay-per-view, Io Shirai put the trash can over herself and did that big dive over the top. We had a table brought into the ring when Jacy Jayne made her entrance. Jacy ended up being placed on the table. Cora Jade climbed up to the top and did a swanton bomb through the table, and Jacy was taken out. And Cora Jade, she started selling her shoulder, but Io Shirai helped out her partner, popping her shoulder back into place. But Cora was still hurting throughout this match. She was selling pretty much the entire rest of the match. Raquel González was the last entrant for her team. She brought even more plunder into the ring, including a shovel. It was not a golden shovel, so no knock at Triple H, just a regular shovel. And Dakota Kai attempted to keep Raquel from getting into the ring, but Raquel managed to grab a fire extinguisher. I mean, they pretty much had everything under the ring but the kitchen sink. Remember that match from WrestleMania 13? The street fight, and Hawk actually had the kitchen sink. But anyways, Raquel used a fire extinguisher, got in, but keep in mind that the heels were at the disadvantage, and Mandy Rose was actually the last entrant into the match. There was a face-off between the two teams, each team in a ring. The crowd did a War Games chant, and Mandy's team tried to finish off Raquel, but then Cora Jade, who, remember, she hurt her shoulder coming off the top of the cage with the swanton through the table. She got back in there, and Raquel was able to make a comeback, hit her chokeslam bomb to Jacy, and then Cora made the pinfall on Jacy, scoring the win for her team after Raquel hit the chokeslam bomb. So there you have it. Very good match here from the ladies. Was not perfect, but I definitely enjoyed it. I would still prefer one War Games cage match on a pay-per-view, but, you know, they got to have the men's match and the women's match. I just think it would be stronger if you had one cage match on the show. It was still really good, though. City by the Bay with a $2 super chat. Thank you for that. Says, been following No DQ since 2007. Keep it up. I appreciate that, City on the Bay. Thank you for tuning in. And they did accomplish what needed to be done as far as setting up a potential challenger for Mandy Rose. Cora Jade got the win here, and she'll likely get a title opportunity fairly soon. They did announce a new Year's Evil edition of NXT for the first Tuesday in January, so it looks like that's going to be a tradition moving forward, a little mini pay-per-view on USA Network. Our second match of the evening was Imperium defending the tag team titles against Kyle O'Reilly and Von Wagner. This was a very good match. I enjoyed it. Although, funny enough, they're trying to build up Von Wagner as a future superstar, but I have to say, the guy that really shined in this match was not Von Wagner. It was actually Fabian Aichner of Imperium. This guy was great in this match. He was doing a lot of cool stuff. Kyle and Von Wagner were working well together early on in the match. But then you had Aichner coming in and, like I said, doing some crazy stuff. Kyle put on a submission on Barthel, and Aichner hit a springboard moonsault to break up the pinfall attempt. Von Wagner got sent to the outside of the ring, and then Aichner got up on the top rope and did this huge dive to the outside onto Von Wagner. And then Kyle managed to get a submission on Aichner, but Aichner powered out of it, tagged in his partner, and earlier Aichner managed to power out of Von Wagner's offense, and he hoisted up Von Wagner on his shoulders, showing off his power. Aichner, like I said, really was the star of this match. And Imperium hit the Imperium bomb on Kyle, and the champions retained their titles. No big surprise here. The rumor mill is running wild about Kyle O'Reilly, his contract being up and probably going to AEW in the near future. So nobody was really surprised that Kyle took the fall here. Atomic Cody says, a good show, but not enough to get me back on watching the weekly NXT 2.0 product. He gives it a solid B. And Marshall Leonard says, do you think WWE will ever bring back New Year's Revolution, the New Year's Revolution pay-per-view for NXT or the main roster? I think they should bring it back as a name instead of Day One, but, you know, they're not doing it, so don't know. Of course, if they did bring it back, people would say that they're copying AEW Revolution, even though they used the term New Year's Revolution first. After the match was over, and by the way, Crush the Wrestling Legend says, do you think WWE will do War Games at Survivor Series? Probably not, because it wasn't a Vince McMahon creation. I'm surprised they kept it after Triple H and his NXT vision was replaced by 2.0. After this match, the crowd was chanting, thank you, Kyle. Kind of felt like his swan song. But then Von Wagner tried to attack his partner. However, Kyle is used to tag team partners betraying him, and he saw it coming. He got the upper hand on Von Wagner. Kind of reminds me of Van Hammer. Might have the same career as Van Hammer, and that's not necessarily a good thing. After the match backstage, Kyle O'Reilly challenged Von Wagner to a match on this Tuesday's NXT, and he wanted it to be inside a steel cage. Looks like that'll be the end of poor Kyle O'Reilly. He will meet his end inside the cage to Von Wagner, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. Maybe they'll swerve us. Maybe we'll get a big shock. I don't think so, but yeah, it's looking like the end for Kyle O'Reilly. Chris Bove says, it was my first time watching NXT 2.0 and he loved it. there you have it. We had Cameron Grimes versus Duke Hudson, who is Mr. Poker Guy, in a hair versus hair match. They set up a barber chair in the second ring, and these two guys had a match. Pretty good match here, back and forth between the two of them. Hudson tried to take a cheap count-out victory. Why not? You know, doesn't matter how you win. The loser, whether it's DQ or count-out, they're going to get their head shaved. And Grimes barely got back in the ring right before the 10 count. Hudson was getting a little too arrogant, started trash talking, saying he was going to shave Grimes bald. They fought on the outside of the ring for a little bit. Hudson tried to grab the rope for a pinfall cover. Referee caught him though. And then Grimes hit a poison rana, built up some momentum, but Hudson stayed in it. And then Hudson went for his finisher, that Razor's Edge-like maneuver, but Grimes countered that, rolled up Hudson, and held the tights, was not caught by the referee, and picked up the 1-2-3 victory. After the match was over, Hudson tried to escape, but he got caught. Grimes hit the cave-in and then started to shave the head of Hudson, but then Hudson quickly escaped. I was a little disappointed. They should have completely shaved his head bald. If you're going to do the stipulation match, you got to go all the way with it. Like, he barely buzzed any of his hair. Hudson had more hair than I do right now when he got out of the ring. Quite a bit more. To me, that's a letdown. Like, you got to go all the way with the head shaving. He could just show up on NXT with a buzz cut. You know, that's not a true head shaving. So I think they kind of ripped off the fans here a little bit by not going all the way with the head shaving if you're going to do this stipulation. Match was pretty good, though. You know, kind of felt like a TV match, but it was fine. And the stipulation, I think they could have delivered that a little bit better with a full head shaving. Moving on here, we had Roderick Strong versus Joe Gacy, who is the Mr. Social Justice Warrior. If he won the Cruiserweight title, he was going to make it the all-inclusive title where anybody can challenge for it. This match was fine, but this also felt like a TV match. It was a pretty decent match, but did not feel like one of those top-tier NXT pay-per-view matches by any stretch of the imagination. You had the Diamond Mine and Harlan out there. And it went back and forth for a bit. Gacy did his routine where he wanted a hug. And Strong was not cool with that. And you had Strong put in a submission hold by Gacy, but Strong got his foot on the rope. Diamond Mine was out there making sure that the referee saw it. Strong rolled to the outside of the ring, and then Gacy did a dive onto all the male Diamond Mine members. And then you had Ivy Nile getting in Gacy's face, and Harlan, he grabbed her, but Gacy was a gentleman. You know, he's a social justice warrior. He doesn't like a man putting his hands on a woman. So he ordered Harlan to put her down, and this was his downfall. He got distracted. Strong took advantage and hit the fisherman backbreaker and picked up the 1-2-3 victory. And I wasn't really surprised by this. I didn't think that they were going to take the title off of Strong. Good match here, but again, kind of felt like a TV match. And then we had our main event of the evening, which was the men's War Games match. You had Team Black and Gold, the old guard of NXT, Tommaso Ciampa, Johnny Gargano, Pete Dunne, and LA Knight up against Braun Breaker, Carmella Hayes, Grayson Waller, and Tony D'Angelo, the new guard of NXT 2.0. War Games match, and they were teasing that this might be Gargano's final match in WWE. And it was his first War Games match. Gargano made his entrance with his old Rebel Heart music Anthony says, so awesome to hear Rebel Heart again. I agree. And he had some really cool attire too, where he had like little bits and pieces of all of his previous entrance attire. So if this was Gargano's final match, what a way to go out, right? Him and Carmelo Hayes started the match, and these guys just worked really well together. Really good first 5 minutes of the match. Crowd was chanting Johnny War Games, and Gargano sent Hayes into the cage several times and hit a sunset flip power bomb off the top rope. And that's when Grayson Waller came into the match. In this match, it was done the right way. The heels had the advantage. Grayson Waller went after Gargano. Gargano held his own for a while, but then the numbers game caught up with him. Trick Williams was throwing weapons into the ring, and he was interfering, but then we had Dexter Loomis come from under the ring, and he evened the odds on the outside, and he chased off Trick Williams. We got some more competitors in the match. Pete Dunne came in, and it was pretty cool. Pete Dunne was using the cage to manipulate the fingers of Grayson Waller, and Waller ended up coming back and hitting stunners to Gargano and Dunne. Crowd was already chanting, "This is awesome." Tony D'Angelo came in and padlocked the cage door shut to prevent LA Knight from coming into the ring right away. LA Knight had to go to the other side of the cage, the second ring, and climb over. He did get into the ring, and Black and Gold regained control of the match. And the referees grabbed some bolt cutters, and they were trying to get the cage door open, but they were struggling. Braun Breaker came out for his entrance, and he grabbed the bolt cutters. He tried to open the cage door. Time stood still here for a little bit. Poor Braun. He's supposed to be this big, massive, strong guy, and he could not break the chain with these bolt cutters right away. Eventually, he got it open. They had to cut away for a minute. He did get it open, and the match continued. Breaker was taking out the Black and Gold guys, and that's when Ciampa made his entrance. Crowd chanted, "Ciampa's gonna kill you." He started going to town on everybody, and he sat on the trash can, did the hand clap and pat on the back. Gargano then saved Ciampa from an attack using a crutch, which is a throwback to the whole Gargano and Ciampa feud. Gargano gave the crutch to Ciampa, and Ciampa used it. Crowd was chanting DUI, but then 2.0 regained control for a while. And then a table was set up. Grayson Waller was going to hit a move off the top through the table, but then you had LA Knight come out of nowhere, and he did the old Kurt Angle spot where he ran up to the top and suplexed Grayson Waller all the way over through the table. Crowd chanted, "Holy shit." And then the match continued. Breaker was on the verge of losing. Ciampa hit an avalanche air raid crash, but Breaker kicked out of that. And then LA Knight got laid out on a table. Grayson Waller climbed up to the top and did a flying elbow off the top of the cage through the table. And D'Angelo went for the pin, but Dunne broke that up. And then D'Angelo grabbed the crowbar and started using that on Dunne. Back in the other ring, DIY double-teamed Braun Breaker. They went for the pin at the same time, but Carmelo Hayes broke that up. Carmelo then hit a low blow to Gargano. Ciampa came in with a running knee, taking out both Hayes and Johnny Gargano. Gargano basically helping out, taking the bullet to make sure Hayes got taken down. And then Ciampa was going to finish off Hayes with the fairy tale ending, but then Breaker came out of nowhere, speared Ciampa through the table, and then Breaker pulled down the straps, picked up Ciampa, slammed him down, and picked up the 1-2-3 victory. So Braun Breaker pinned the NXT champion to win War Games for his team. Match was great. Awesome match. You got over the 2.0 guys big time. And yeah, it was definitely a moment for the NXT 2.0 guys. Breaker looked great. Grayson Waller got a couple big moments in this match. D'Angelo got a few big moments in the match. Everybody on 2.0's team shined. And like I said, Carmelo Hayes looked great when he was in there with Johnny Gargano. And if this was Gargano's final match, it was quite the way to go out. The game is on 100 with a $5 super chat. Thank you for that. He says, I only got 2 matches right. The men's War Game match and Imperium. I knew NXT 2.0 was winning War Games to mark the death and the end of Triple H's vision of NXT. Well, see, I actually thought that Black and Gold were going to somehow pick up the win here because I felt like it was too obvious that 2.0 was going to win. You know, give them a good showing, but have the veterans pick up the win. But no, they went full blown with 2.0 winning. And I'm fine with it either way, but I was thinking that Black and Gold would pull off the victory. But if Gargano's really leaving, then it would definitely make more sense for 2.0 to win. Now, if Gargano was staying, I think more of an argument could have been made. But my feeling is now Gargano's probably done. This felt like a swan song for him. Same thing with O'Reilly. But overall, another great show. It was not TakeOver, but it still delivered. The middle of the show was just okay. It was really the 2 War Games matches that made the show, and quite frankly, that's what should make the show. That's what you tune in for. You're tuning in for the War Games matches, and both of them delivered, especially the men's match and the main event. They had an awesome match. Looking at the poll results, 67% thumbs up, 9% down, 14% middle, and 10% did not watch. Now, as far as letter grades in the chat room, God First, Love It or Hate It, gave it an A. MVP Kev gave the show an A-. D. Martin 5th says, I give both War Games matches an A+, another plus. And Chris Bove with an A. Mohammed gives the show a B+, and Marshall Leonard gives it an A++++. Calvin Bowman also gives the show an A+. So, rave reviews for NXT. The streak continues. It might be 2.0, but they still put on a great show. And again, I love the runtime of NXT. I think it was like 2 hours and 45 minutes. Perfect. I love it. I love the runtime of the show. 5 matches. It's an easy watch. My only complaint would be I think they should do 1 War Games match. And that's a general complaint about WWE. Like, I think 2 Money in the Bank matches is too much. 2 Elimination Chambers. They should really stick with 1 and get rid of the themed pay-per-views. Just do it when the storyline calls for it. If the women have this intense feud and they need to have a War Games match, you do the match. If the men are having an intense feud and they need to do an Elimination Chamber, or somebody needs to do a Hell in a Cell match, or, you know, Money in the Bank or whatever, you could have Money in the Bank, 1 match at the pay-per-view, keep that as a theme pay-per-view, do 1 at WrestleMania. But I would not have 2 matches with the same stipulation in 1 night. That's just my opinion. I think it does hurt both matches a little bit because you're seeing a lot of the same spots in the match. Like, you got somebody jumping off the top of the cage through a table 2 times, you know, kind of loses its impact a little bit, in my opinion. So that's a mild complaint. I'm going to give the show an A-. You know, middle of the card was okay. Nothing stellar. And I think the first cage match was not quite as strong as the second one. And you didn't need to have 2 cage matches. But still, big thumbs up for the show. Definitely worth watching. That's all I have to say about the NXT TakeOver show. Thank you guys so much for tuning in tonight. I really do appreciate your viewership and support. You can check out full results over at NoDQ.com. And if you enjoyed the video, please consider giving it a like, spreading the word on social media, tell a friend about the channel and the website. Take care, everybody. Enjoy your week, and I will see you all next time.